Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday told his military chiefs and other security agencies that they were not doing enough to end the security challenges in the country, despite enormous logistics provided by his administration. President Buhari, he frowned on the fact that his previous directives to the military to end insecurity in the country had not yet yielded much results. He directed all the operational and intelligence agencies to rescue unhurt people and all the other persons kidnapped by terrorists, including those from the recent Kaduna-bound train. All of these have come at a time that Inspector General of Police Usman Baba explained the basis for the heavy security presence in the southeast, saying the police would no longer tolerate attacks on their men. National Security Advisor, retired Major General Babagana Monguno, expressed the president's reservations while speaking with newsmen yesterday after a 3.5-hour meeting of the National Security Council at the State House in Abuja. It was presided over by the president himself. General Monguno said there was no way the president would be happy when people were being killed on a daily basis. He said the last straw was the recent attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train, which led to the death of some passengers, with scores kidnapped. Security analyst Femi Dare joins us now to explore the relevance or otherwise of President Buhari's expression of anger and assessment of the military efforts in tackling terrorism in the country. We'd like to welcome you to Newsday this afternoon. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And hope you're doing good.
Well,
thank you so much.
In light of the present situation, it seems that the entire country is a bit scared. There is quite a lot of insecurity. And to quote the National Security Advisor, he said that the country was having a hard time, the government in specific, was having a difficult time getting technology as a country, and they're not exactly sure where to purchase the technology from or who to get it from. With these kinds of questions and with these kinds of statements from the top, we wonder if it's a case of laziness or if it's a case of actual blatant not doing the right job.
Thank you for inviting me. Basically, I think from this statement you just said about the NSA, it shows complete lack of direction. I mean, we've been in this government for the past 7 years. We've invested in so much artilleries and weapons to fight the bandits, which we expect by now should be giving us the desired result. But, you know, give and take, technology is not all it takes to fight this kind of war. We're talking about a kind of war where the enemy determines the time and venue, you know. So if the enemy has the control of the time and venue and you don't have credible intelligence, there's nothing you can do, really. And, you know, it's quite a very complicated, hydra-headed kind of confrontation we're dealing with as a country. You know, there's so many aspects of this war that we need to carefully analyze and build a strategy around such so that we can start getting results. First and foremost, the people, the moral issues, you know, the bandits easily find people they can recruit all over the place. Because just the way we talk about Nigeria outgrowing its infrastructure, so also the masses of our country had grown our security infrastructure. So there has to be a deliberate attempt to look at all these aspects together. Take, for example, you see a bandit who is the sponsors of this bandit. They are willing to pay as much as $5,000 to recruit fighters. And they have raw materials all over the place because of the moral negligence in our country. The youth of the youth of nowadays, the youth we have in our country today, they don't have the patience that we used to have in the 90s or in the 80s. So there's greed for money. Everybody is just trying to get rich quick. So that becomes raw materials for the bandits. And if they're making such big amount of money from kidnapping and using some ransom to buy weapons, so I really pity this federal government. Technology, yes, we agree. Telecommunications are there. I mean, with telephones, you can actually, in the US, there's a certain things you say on the phone, automatically the FBI begins to listen to your conversation. They track you. So we see a quack approach most of the time, how intelligence has been done. If, for example, you intercept a trailer load of cutlass or weapons at the port, why make so much noise about it? Why not escort that same thing you've just intercepted, escort it to destination, so you can have a big kill? So there's certain strategies that we must bring in. The overzealousness of our armed forces and, God, I think professionalism is also part of it. We need to first of all understand why we're doing what we're doing. If you're in the military or in the police, professionalism must be taken very seriously. Take, for example, those that were escorting the train, the Cardinal mishap the other day. We should be having snipers in these trains. Good telecommunications, walkie-talkies. If we don't have modes in our system, I think by now this war would have been over, because if at the end of the day your enemy is listening to your conversation, you are making a radio call, everybody knows what you're trying to do in your next move, there's no way you can win this war. So we need a buy-in of everybody. Even the government has to say, come, state by state, local government by local government. So we can start saying the result with much. I really pity this government, and any other substitute government that will come in is going to face a more Draculan task. Because now we begin to see the Nigerian country buying weapons for our army. We have the Tucano jet. Yes, fine. We cannot use it in certain areas of the country because of the agreement we've entered with the US. So it's not about technology. It's about the will and the determination to act and change of strategy. Because we must first of all understand that we have a moral issue in our country where people can be recruited for as cheap as $1,000, $2,000. All right? Then you also have a situation where there's so much compromise all over the place, It's a moral issue, and it goes beyond just taking or buying equipment. That's my honest opinion.
Very well said. I do see light in what you're saying about going beyond buying equipment. I think collaboration is the word of the day, because, as you rightly said, it being a moral issue, we're seeing a lot of collaborative effort on the part of the terrorists, where they are getting more people on their teams. And if we look at what's happening with the Ukraine crisis, we also see what collaborative effort can do, even if it does not completely wipe out terrorism or an invasion in this case, it helps to ease the burden. Yes. So I would like to ask, why, if you're content with the collaborative efforts you've seen on the part of the Nigerian government, if there's any, even from your perspective, and that might be the missing piece as to why we're still as behind as we are regarding this war against terrorism.
Thank you. Very, very, very good question. You see, before the new service chief appointment, there was lack of coordination and, team spirit. But with this present team, we have some level of collaboration. But they've not been able to buy the people in these localities. They've not been able to get the buy-in of the people. Getting the buy-in of the people goes beyond just try to be nice to them. So if for example, you say the Boko Haram team coming to you and they are giving $5,000, they're giving promises that often end up in, them being able to recruit it. Why are the state government and the local government not equipping people within these regions with simple communications? Walkie-talkies can do that. Have in regions, recruit people, pay them good money. If Boko Haram is recruiting and paying $5,000, we as a country should be able to pay $10,000 and have our own people committed to fight them at that local level. The vulnerability is everywhere in our country. And if you notice, these bandits, they only go to remote locations where, the people have been neglected over the years. They hardly come to cities. So they're looking for weak points, soft targets to make the news. And such things brings about terror. which is what they've actually achieved over the years. Now they have a strategy. Again, we must not forget the international collaboration in this whole crisis that we're dealing with. All right? They've been able to make the Nigerian people go against their government through social medias, artificial intelligence, informations, and stuff. Each of us to, first of all, as a people, take this challenge as an invasion of our country. And let everybody buy into it. No matter, it's not about politics, we must take our politics out of it. It's not about Buhari, it's not about Jonathan. We have a crisis in our hands as a nation. These people that are funding this crisis know they are after our mineral resources, they are after the progress of our country. We must buy in the people. So let's take President Buhari out of it. President Goodluck, whoever becomes president, must understand that we have been invaded. There's an international dimension to this crisis, and we have ready-made tools. Because the people we have in our country, they've been able to deceive them not to believe in their country, and they feel that the grass is greener on the other side. But they forget that every scheme they've done over the years has been to take the black people into slavery. But we must begin to change the narrative so that our people begin to understand that, because if they do not understand, then they want to take sacrifice for credible information. We should, at this stage, be able to take certain sacrifice for giving the right information that will help our armed forces to take care of these bandits. So why are we not getting it? That's a critical question to ask.
So just before we let you go, I'd like to have your reaction to comments made by the president that the Nigerian army is not doing enough, to combat the security crisis, despite all the necessary logistical support that has been provided. So is this justifiable? Can we really absolve the federal government from any blame? Is it the military alone that is lacking in this case?
If you ask me, to be honest, this government have actually made provision for the army. With all they've always requested for, they've gotten it. We spend so much weapons, spend so much money buying weapons for this. If we had this, inclusive government before now, at some point the Nigerian army couldn't even confront the Boko Haram, couldn't fight, they were running. But now we have the weapons, we have the Kano jet, we have trunks and trunks of artilleries fighting these guys. So why are we not getting the result? So I really pity the federal government, really. Because, what else can you do? It boils down to the same question, where, they've seen how other military officers have been treated in the past, after leaving service, what happens to them, how you treat people, the justice system, and so many, and the way they get promotions in these forces. So when you fail to do the right thing, the consequences must always come at some point. But fortunately, it's coming at the point where we are most vulnerable. Because what we're experiencing today, the decay we've experienced today, they didn't just start yesterday. It's been there over the years. But it's unfortunate that at the point of vulnerability, it's now beginning to manifest itself. Don't forget, look at just the way you look at the moral decadence in our society. What are the children of nowadays doing? At age 17. The other day I was watching a viral video of how a 10-year-old girl, 11-year-old, trying to go into a hotel. It's unimaginable. And if we've been invaded through the social media space, and we begin to, because that's what foreign countries do. There are different kinds of warfare. It's not in every case you see them bringing weapons to fight you and stuff. Russia influenced the American election the last time. How did they do it? Were they physically in America? No.
Yeah.
So we have to put a lot of things together. Looking at our security structure completely, because we have, to be honest with you, outgrown our security infrastructure in our country.
Femi Dare, it's certainly
expanding on a day-to-day basis.
Sorry to interrupt you, but we are out of time. It is certainly a multifaceted warfare that we are engaging in, and we thank you so much for joining us and having this discussion with us on the program.